Glimmer of hope, frustration, and anger is a mix of the mood of workers of the two popular stations that were affected by the frequency audit by the National Communication Authority in 2017. The workers are pessimistic despite communication by the regulatory body that suggests a restoration of their licenses together with some new institutions that applied for licenses.
It is not 133 radio stations that were shut down that have been granted authorizations now. These 133 FM radio broadcasting authorizations include new applications and other radio stations that are actually existing now who have applied for renewal.
Correspondence between some of the stations and National Communications Authority, cited by Citi News, reveals rather a roller coaster journey in arriving at this decision. Radio XYZ, which is one of the two popular stations together with Radio Gold, reveals how the NCA has been indifferent towards their ordeal. According to the management, the decision to shut it down was made known to them 3 months after test transmission in 2017, following a change in ownership. They contend that explanations to NCA on the administrative error and subsequent commitments to get it rectified were overlooked by the authority. Management tells Citi News how they were lured to drop a case with the Electronic Communication Tribunal, challenging the move to make way for an amicable solution in addressing the problem.
One condition at the time, according to Eslawusu, was that some of us had begun a court process to challenge the closure. And if we go and withdraw that case from court, she'll be in a better position to settle the issue with us amicably. So we went back and pulled the case out of the Electronic Communications Tribunal, and then we officially notified Parliament that we had finished the process. It took almost about 8 months before we had another response from the sector minister, Eslawusu. So when we met again, Opera Ansa read a statement to us that the Minister for Communication said she had changed her mind. She was no more interested in the amicable solution, and so we can go and continue our court process. And that was when we had withdrawn the case.
Though the audit was completed in 2017, the crackdown took place in October 2019 at a time when Radio XYZ and Radio Gold were transmitting a live press conference of the NDC. The timing of the closure was questioned by a number of people, with some reading political meanings into it. Citi News team that visited the premises of Radio Gold on the day of the closure met angry listeners and workers of the station who heed not to the explanation. A year after the closure, the premises of the company was already in a sorrowful state. But things seem to have changed months down the line, as some of the workers remain committed and are running online programs. After years of the closure of Radio Gold, at least some skeletal workers here have been able to keep the premises of the company clean. Information we have suggests that Radio Gold has been operating an online station. Usually, this would have been the reception of the company. The reception still have some citations that the company had received in the past, and also some awards that it has also been given in the past. These are the only things that you can find here at the reception. There's no TV set here at the moment. The AC has been off, no water on the dispenser. All these totaling to perhaps a replica of an abandoned space. The walkway to the studios of this particular station also very quiet. This door ordinarily would have led you into the main studios of Radio Gold, but we have been told that it's been closed since the day NCA directed and ensured that Radio Gold shut down. What is left of the initially vibrant Radio Gold is a producing space and its secondary studio where the online programs are now transmitted through. We met the morning team as they were wrapping up on their show for the day. Struggling to avoid conversations on the NCA move, The host and his panelists, in their opinion, were not enthused about the new directive.
Why? They have NCA, what's the name? DJ Ernest at NCA. So they're now coming to teach us how to broadcast.
Okay.
Or what exactly is it that they are trying to do? And I've been thinking through the whole thing, and I just want to believe that they themselves have thought about it, and they've realized that what they have done was a non-starter.
They have done that. You can just imagine. So the equipment that we're operating or using to transmit on a traditional frequency have been virtually redundant for a long time.
Look at the main studio.
Machines. Go back and look at them.
The main studio, I don't know what is even happening there.
And especially the one at
Even if they hold the workshop for 3 months, possibly you have put your gold in a situation where we are not in a position to just jump up and tap.
No.
So if they like, they can okay.
At Radio XYZ, however, the premises was lively, as Power FM and TV XYZ, who are sister stations, were running effectively. They have also had their fair share of the closure, as the objectives of the renewed investments in 2016 have not been realized.
When you get everything right, you start getting business. So for you to look at a fellow Ghanaian, let alone a fellow Ghanaian branded as a politician, and you know that this business belongs to A, and that A is a politician or affiliated to a political party, and because you are in power today, you don't care about the consequences, the multiplier effect, and you go ahead to do it, and you got people to support them, I can only pray with them. My wish is that people will learn lessons today.
Former President John Dramani Mahama and a number of notable personalities had in times past appealed to the NCA to rescind its decision. The Media Foundation for West Africa had alleged that over 200 stations were not sanctioned despite falling foul of the same law. Efforts to prove their point ended up in court after NCA demanded 2,000 Ghana cedis as cost for making public information required under the RTI Act. Though the court adjudicated for the foundation to pay 1,500 Ghana cedis rather for the documents, the foundation says it has obtained the information through other sources and will soon expose the discrepancies in the actions of the NCA.
The 2020 data that the NCA published, which we now have, the data that we had asked the NCA to give it to us, we now have it, through our own channels, we have the data. And I just hope that people will take their time to look at the data that we'll be putting out there in terms of the radio stations in the country that were also in default and were not shut down. So for me, as I have always been saying, it was a politically motivated decision to shut down opposition radio stations.
The NCA, however, maintains they never erred in law. For workers who may never forget the manner in which the stations were closed, no amount of explanation will right the wrongs of the authority.
So if you take your face up from there and you are doing the period of someone, especially that lady that knife made, she's captured on camera. And if you're still there, you should know what it means.
Henry George Martin and that lady.
Yeah, because you see that day, ask Nancy what she did here. Even the men were cool, calm, and collected, and she was leading. Hey, go hey.
Sit down.
Get down. Charlie?
These stations are greatly concerned by portions of the statement that spell out conditions for the restoration of the licenses.
The second one is rather a bit more worrying. It says, and I want to quote, "Provisional authorization shall be issued to the successful applicant at the end of the workshop, and frequencies shall be assigned to the applicant," and this is in bold, "only upon the fulfillment of the conditions of the provisional authorization." And so this particular paragraph really gives us a bit of concern, because you look at the headline which says approved, and then the third paragraph here is telling you that you can only get it on condition that you attend the sensitization workshop and you pass that sensitization workshop.
The Media Foundation for West Africa believes this should not be the end of the case, and Parliament should be minded to take action against the National Communication Authority. Perceptions on the action of the National Communications Authority on the closure of some radio stations will continue to differ. but we'll wait for clarity from the authority on how these stations can get their licenses back. For Citi News, Hansen Ajeman.